Alright, here's what's on the truck for Labor Day weekend project. This is my Kohler light plant generator set. Made sometime late 20s, early 30s. Can't be sure on the exact date. It's a 1E21, 1500 watt, 115 volt AC, 1200 RPM, 4.5 horsepower, and 32 volt crank. That's the battery voltage there. Kind of interesting. Here's a look at the control box. This is the 1E21. The E stands for emergency. This is an emergency plant. Will be automatic start if the main power fail. Not quite sure what everything does in this control box yet. There was a wiring diagram glued to the inside of the cover plate, but it's pretty badly deteriorated. But this contactor here is probably the cranking contactor because it's the most substantial. A couple others. Nothing looks really in too bad shape. It's just all dirty though. All kinds of nasty scum everywhere. There's a panel right here with the meters. There's a AC voltmeter, an AC ammeter, and a DC ammeter for charging. I just took that out to clean them all up. I did get it running, and it makes power. I got it about a year and a half ago. Only started working on it recently. But had to do a couple things to it. Go through the mag, go through the carburetor. New diaphragm in the fuel pump. It's an AC fuel pump. But other than that, she's pretty much ready to go. Didn't have to pull the head or anything. I just cleaned the sludge around the valves and the camshaft, made sure the oil pump worked. That was about it. Let's see. It's got an electric choke here, which is what these two terminals are. These two wires connect to that. You can also work it manually here. It's just a solenoid. And then it's got a another automatic choke that runs off of the heater. Well, there's a little coil spring inside the exhaust manifold that'll open and close that choke with the engine temperature. She's a pretty good runner. I'll give you a shot of the gauges real quick. They're up on the bench. Alright, well here's the 3 meters. The AC ammeter cleaned up really well. It's in good condition internally. They're all triplet meters. The DC ammeter needs a little bit of work still. The needle is binding somewhere. Doesn't always return to the original position there. Let's see. Need to clean that a little farther. Unfortunately, the AC ammeters, or the AC voltmeter, is in pretty rough shape. You can see the vein there. the one vane. Looking at it right now, these two vanes right here. The one on the left is that one that's actually connected to the needle. The one on the right is stationary, and they're all rusted. The shaft's rusted. It's really in poor condition. I hope I can save this, but I'm not sure what I'm going to have to do to it. Everything's really fragile in these. Very tiny. Pretty difficult to work on. But there's the meters. It'll run without those, of course, but it'd be nice to put them back together. While I'm up here, these are the batteries that I'm going to use to crank it with. They're 12 volt, which are, altogether they make about 37, 38 volts because they're fully charged. But that'll be alright for the cranking of that generator. It'll just crank a little bit faster. But everything's well enough built in there that it'll handle a few extra volts. A 32 volt system would probably be sitting at 34, 35 volts if it was fully charged, so no worries. Unfortunately, you can see the commutator's got a couple considerable pits in it, right here, but they're not so serious that it sparks or anything. Be alright. The slip rings are fine. Interesting thing is, I'm going to need a new capacitor here for these stabilizing capacitors. You can see I fired it up, and about 5 minutes later I just noticed that this one exploded. But I didn't notice before, but it looks like it's been hit with something. So you can see it's kind of egg-shaped there. But no worries. The ratings are written on them. You can see that one's a little bit legible. So I'll be able to find a new one. It runs just fine. It generates just fine without it. Yep, the only thing I need to do now is get the gauges put back together and work out the automatics, or the automatic start. Here's the terminals there, positive and negative. With these two studs. Figure out what all they feed and how this all works. I'm not sure if there's a heater on here for crank time limiting or what. I mean, there's 4 outputs, L1 through L4. I'm not sure quite what each does, but I'm pretty sure when I measured it, L1 to L3 was 110, L2 to L4 was 110, so I'm not quite sure how it's all wired yet. But it does make power, so that's a good sign. And of course, nothing's connected, so there's no danger of a short or any kind of fault. So we'll give her a start. We'll be hand cranking her like I mentioned. The electric start's not working yet. That's pretty easy. That's a very responsive governor. Really nicely made. brushed magneto. They have three styles of mag on these light plants. This is the middle style. They had an early style, this style, and then a later style. That's kind of how I know the date. And somewhere in the late 20s to early 30s range. Had a tiny bit of arcing after I first cleaned the commutator, but now everything's nice and quiet and smooth. I've noticed that this contactor right here closes when it's running. I'll trace the wires around and see what everything does. Came with four nice Champion number 7 spark plugs. You can see it was leaking a little bit of oil from the rocker cover gasket. I made a new one and stopped leaking. It's good. It's really making a mess. See, the choke's working its way open now. He's a classic. From 25 feet away, you barely know it's running. Nice unit, no smoke. Guess the engine's got a lot of life left in it. Like I said, I never pulled the head on it, so I don't really know what the internal condition is. But seems to be nice and tight. It's a bummer that this only puts out 1500 watts. I'd like to use it as even a small emergency generator. But you can't really do much with 1500 watts today, except run some lights. But, oh well. It's a neat thing. Yeah, pretty neat. I'll make a follow-up video after I get the control box sorted out, and we'll see if it'll actually start up on its own.